In the bustling town of Nasuka, there lived a man named Chief Okafor. He wasn't just wealthy, he was wealth itself. His every step echoed with pride, a man who believed he had tamed life. His compound was the largest, his yam barns overflowed, and his two wives treated him like a living deity. But his greatest treasure, the pinnacle of his pride, was his daughter, Chiamaka. She was the jewel of his eye, his only child from his late first wife. For him, she wasn't just a daughter. She was a princess he was raising to dazzle the world. When Chiamaka returned from university, her beauty and grace were the talk of the town. Suitors buzzed around her like bees to honey. But one man stood out, Obina. He was a humble secondary school teacher, gentle, hardworking, and utterly in love with Chiamaka. And she loved him back. They had met during her youth service in Enugu, and their love had blossomed quickly and deeply. So, when Obina and his family came to ask for Chiamaka's hand in marriage, Chief Okafor initially welcomed them with open arms. The traditional gifts were presented, palm wine, cola nuts, all according to custom. But when the talk turned to the bride price, the atmosphere shifted. Chief Okafor leaned back, a smug look on his face. "My daughter," he announced, "is not just any girl. She's a graduate. Do you have any idea how much I invested in her education? Her bride price cannot be ordinary." He then unfurled a long, intimidating list. It wasn't just long, it was a mountain of demands. 10 goats, 20 massive yams, 2 cows, expensive fabrics, 20 crates of drinks, 100,000 naira in cash, and, to top it off, a brand new motorcycle for himself. Obina's family was stunned into silence. This wasn't a bride price, it was a ransom. Obina's father, a man of reason, tried to plead. "Mazi Okafor," he began softly, "we are humble people. We can't possibly meet all these demands. Marriage should be a bridge between families, not a wall." But Chief Okafor was unyielding. He waved a dismissive hand. "If your son cannot afford my daughter, then he should step aside for those who can. My daughter is not cheap." Those words were like a dagger to Obina's heart. His pride was wounded, but his love for Chiamaka was stronger. He decided he would do whatever it took. Against his father's advice, he sold his own motorcycle, borrowed heavily from friends, and even took out a high-interest loan. He managed to gather everything on the list, except for the new motorcycle for the chief. Reluctantly, Chief Okafor accepted, but his disapproval was written all over his face. "You have tried," he said with a condescending tone, "but remember, a man who struggles from the start will always struggle in marriage." These words haunted Obina and Chiamaka as they began their new life in Enugu. At first, love made everything seem possible, but soon, the crushing weight of the loans Obina had taken for the bride price began to suffocate them. His modest teacher's salary was stretched thin, barely covering their basic needs. The financial pressure ignited arguments. Chiamaka, accustomed to a life of comfort, found it hard to adjust. One evening, after the electricity was cut off again, she couldn't hold back her frustration. "If Papa hadn't been so greedy with the bride price, maybe our life wouldn't be this hard," she lamented. Obina, already at his breaking point, snapped back with words he instantly regretted. "Your father sold you to me like property. I'm still paying off the debt with my sweat and blood." Chiamaka's heart shattered, and she burst into tears. That night, a deep crack appeared in the foundation of their marriage. Things went from bad to worse. The once bright flame of their love flickered and dimmed. Chiamaka eventually found a job at a private firm and started earning more than her husband, but instead of easing their burdens, it fueled her pride. She began to look down on Obina, her father's venomous words now coming from her own mouth. "You can't even take care of me properly," she'd say during their escalating fights. The arguments became unbearable until one day, Chiamaka packed her bags and returned to her father's house. Seeing his daughter return, defeated and in tears, Chief Okafor's anger flared. "What did that poor excuse for a husband do to you?" he roared. "He can't provide, Papa," Chiamaka sobbed. "He's drowning in debt." Puffing out his chest, the chief declared, "Good, let him suffer. He has learned his place." But life has a funny way of teaching lessons. Shortly after, Chief Okafor's world began to unravel. Pests destroyed his prized yam barns. A bad investment wiped out his life savings. His tenants stopped paying rent. To make matters worse, his second wife abandoned him for a younger, wealthier man. The once mighty chief became a shadow of his former self, his health failing until he was confined to his bed. Living with her father again, Chiamaka began to see him clearly for the first time. His crippling pride, his obsession with wealth, and the deep emptiness it had brought him. She found herself missing Obinna, the man who, despite his struggles, had loved her with a genuine heart. One morning, she decided she had to see him. She found him looking thinner, quieter, but he was still the same man she had fallen for. "Chiamaka," he asked softly, his eyes filled with a weary sadness. "What brings you here?" Tears streamed down her face. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I let my father's pride and my own destroy what we had. I want to come home. I want to make things right." It wasn't easy, and it took time, but their love was resilient. Obinna forgave her. Away from the noise of judgment and expectation, they slowly and quietly began to rebuild their life together, piece by piece. When news of their reconciliation reached Chief Okafor, something inside him finally broke. Regret washed over his proud heart. He asked to see them. When they arrived, he was frail, his voice barely a whisper. "My children, forgive me," he pleaded. "I was a fool. I thought wealth was what made a man worthy. I was so wrong. My pride has cost me everything." He reached for Obinna's hand, his grip surprisingly strong. "You have shown me that love and character, not money, are the true foundation of marriage. I only wish I learned this lesson sooner." 2 weeks later, Chief Okafor passed away in his sleep. At his funeral, the villagers didn't whisper about his lost wealth or faded power. They spoke of how a man's pride had become his downfall. Standing beside her husband, holding his hand tightly, Chiamaka finally understood. Her father's greatest lesson wasn't in the advice he gave, but in the life he lost. From that day on, she and Obinna built their marriage not on things that could be bought or sold, but on love, respect, and humility, the treasures that money can never touch. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please remember to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to our channel for more stories that inspire. See you next time!